North Africa, June 1942. The desert doesn't care which flag you fight for. It kills everyone the same way. Captain David Walsh is 32 years old, British 8th Army, and he's been in the Sahara for 8 months. Long enough to learn that the real enemy isn't the Germans or Italians. It's the sand, the sun, the thirst that turns your tongue into leather and your thoughts into fever dreams. His patrol, 3 trucks, 12 men, left their base 4 days ago. Reconnaissance mission, simple enough on paper. Drive east, observe Axis movements, report back. But the desert has a way of making simple things impossible. The first truck hit a mine on day 2, 4 men dead instantly. The second truck's engine seized on day 3, bad fuel or sand in the cylinders, or just bad luck. They transferred supplies to the remaining vehicle and kept moving. Then, on day 4, the ambush, German patrol, 8 soldiers, machine gun fire from behind a dune. Walsh's driver took a round through the throat. The truck flipped, rolled, came to rest on its side. Walsh crawled out, grabbed his rifle, fired back. His remaining men did the same. The firefight lasted maybe 3 minutes. Felt like 3 hours. When the dust settled, 5 of Walsh's men were dead. 3 were wounded. The Germans pulled back, probably low on ammunition themselves, probably didn't want to risk casualties for a broken British patrol that was already dying. Walsh does inventory. 1 canteen of water left, maybe a liter. The radio is destroyed. The truck is destroyed. They're 60 kilometers from base, maybe more. The sun is climbing toward noon. He looks at his 3 wounded men. Corporal Bennett has a bullet in his leg. Private Harris took shrapnel to his shoulder. Lieutenant Moore is worse. Gut shot, bleeding internally. Maybe hours left if they're lucky. We walk, Walsh says. West, stay together. Ration the water. They start walking. The sand pulls at their boots. The sun hammers down. Every step is a negotiation with physics and willpower. By afternoon, Moore can't walk anymore. They carry him. By evening, they're out of water. By midnight, they're just shapes moving through darkness, held together by discipline and the thin hope that the British lines are close enough to reach. Dawn comes, Moore dies just after sunrise. They bury him shallow, too weak to dig deep. Too human to leave him for the vultures. Harris is delirious, mumbling about his mother in Manchester. Bennett's leg is infected, swelling, turning colors that mean gangrene. Walsh knows they're not going to make it, knows it with the certainty that comes from watching men die in the desert for 8 months, but he keeps walking, because that's what you do. You walk until you can't, and then you crawl, and then you stop. They collapse around noon on day 5. Can't go further, can't stand. Walsh tries to get up and his legs just fold. Harris is unconscious. Bennett is crying, not from pain, just from knowing. Sorry, lads, Walsh says. His voice is a whisper. I'm sorry. He closes his eyes, waits for it to end. That's when he hears the engine, a vehicle, getting closer. Walsh forces his eyes open, squints against the sun, sees a shape, a truck, German markings. He should be afraid, should reach for his rifle, but he's too tired, too thirsty, too close to dead. The truck stops. A German soldier climbs out, young, maybe 25, pale skin burned red by the sun. He looks at the 3 dying British soldiers, doesn't draw his weapon, just stands there deciding. Then he walks back to his truck, returns with 3 canteens, sets them down next to Walsh. Wasser, the German says. Water. Walsh stares. Can't process what's happening, can't understand why this enemy soldier isn't shooting him or driving away or doing literally anything except giving him water. The German picks up 1 canteen, unscrews the cap, holds it to Walsh's lips. Trinken, drink. Walsh drinks. The water is warm, tastes like metal and salvation. He drinks until the German pulls it away, gives some to Harris, then Bennett. Danke, Walsh manages. Thank you. One of maybe 5 German words he knows. The German nods, looks at the desert, looks at Walsh, says something in German that Walsh doesn't understand, then climbs back in his truck and drives away. Walsh watches him disappear into the heat shimmer. Still holding the canteen, still alive. They make it back. Took them 2 more days, but they make it. The water saves them. A British patrol finds them 30 kilometers from base, dehydrated and half dead but alive. In the hospital tent, Walsh keeps thinking about the German soldier, about the moment when he could have driven past, or shot them, or taken their surrender, about the choice he made instead. "I need to find him," Walsh tells the medic. "After the war, I need to find that man." The medic just nods. Everyone in the desert has stories about strange mercies, about enemies who became something else for just a moment, but Walsh means it. He doesn't know the German's name, doesn't know his unit, just knows his face, young, sunburned, kind eyes. He'll spend the next 25 years looking for those eyes. May 1945, the war in Europe ends. Walsh survives, through North Africa, through Italy, through France. He's a major now, decorated, mentioned in dispatches. None of it matters as much as finding the German soldier who gave him water. He starts searching immediately, writes to British intelligence, to the War Office, to prisoner of war camps. He has almost nothing to go on, just a face, a moment, a place in the desert that might not even exist on any map. Young German soldier, North Africa, June 1942, approximately 25 years old, light hair, drove a supply truck, gave water to British soldiers instead of killing them. The responses are polite but useless. Thousands of German soldiers served in North Africa. Most are dead. Many are prisoners. Some are still missing. Without a name, without a unit designation, finding one soldier is impossible. Walsh doesn't stop. He goes to Germany during the occupation, travels through the British and American zones, visits displaced persons camps, shows people a sketch he drew from memory, the German soldier's face. No one recognizes him. He returns to England in 1947, gets married, has children, works as a civil servant, lives a normal life. But twice a year, on the anniversary of the day he almost died, and on his birthday, he writes more letters to veteran organizations, to German churches, to newspapers in Munich and Berlin and Hamburg, looking for a German soldier who served in North Africa, 1942. He saved 3 British lives. If you were that soldier, or if you know him, please contact me. The years pass, 1950, 1955, 1960. His children grow up hearing about the German who gave us water. His wife gently suggests that maybe it's time to let it go, that maybe the German didn't survive the war, that maybe he doesn't want to be found. Walsh can't let it go, because that moment in the desert taught him something, that even in war, even when everything becomes about killing or surviving, there are still choices, still moments when humanity breaks through, and the man who made that choice deserves to know what it meant. By 1965, Walsh is 55. His search has become routine, mechanical. He doesn't expect results anymore, just keeps the promise he made to himself 23 years ago. Then, in March 1967, he receives a letter from Munich, from a German veterans organization he wrote to 3 years earlier. They've been compiling records, tracking down surviving soldiers, and they might have found someone. Former Gefreiter Hans Becker, age 50, served with the Afrika Korps Supply Division, currently lives in Stuttgart. "We showed him your sketch. He says he remembers British soldiers in the desert. He remembers giving them water." Walsh's hands shake as he reads. 25 years. 25 years of searching. And now maybe an answer. He books a flight to Germany immediately, doesn't tell his family until the ticket is purchased, doesn't want to get their hopes up or admit how desperately he needs this to be real. Stuttgart, April 1967. Walsh takes a taxi from the airport to an address in a working-class neighborhood. Small apartment building, post-war construction. Everything in Germany is post-war construction. He climbs 3 flights of stairs, finds the door, number 47, Hans Becker. He knocks. A woman answers, 50-something, tired eyes. Ja? I'm looking for Hans Becker. My name is David Walsh. I'm from England. I think your husband saved my life in the war. She stares at him, then calls back into the apartment. Hans, come here. A man appears, 50 years old, grey hair, thick around the middle, glasses. Nothing like the young soldier Walsh remembers, but the eyes are the same. Walsh feels something break loose in his chest. 25 years of searching, and he's standing in front of the right man. Herr Becker, you were in North Africa, June 1942. Hans is staring at Walsh, processing, remembering. You were the British captain, the 3 men, in the desert. Yes, that was me. Hans's eyes fill with tears. Mein Gott, I thought you died. I went back 2 days later. You were gone. I thought the desert took you. You went back? To see if you made it? If you needed more water? But you were gone. I hoped you survived. They stand in the doorway. 2 old soldiers, former enemies, connected by 3 canteens of water and 25 years of wandering. Why? Walsh asks. Why did you stop? Why didn't you just drive past? Hans looks at his feet. Because I was thirsty once, in Russia, before Africa. A Soviet soldier gave me water. Didn't have to, could have let me die, but he gave me water and walked away. He looks up at Walsh. I couldn't drive past you, not after that. Not after knowing what it means. They sit in Hans's small living room. His wife Greta makes coffee. Walsh and Hans just look at each other, still processing. Tell me, Walsh says. Tell me what happened after you drove away. Hans lights a cigarette. His hands are shaking slightly. I was driving supplies. Solo mission. Our unit was scattered. I saw your truck from maybe 2 kilometers away, saw the wreck. I almost kept driving. Why didn't you? Because I saw you move, saw one of you lift his hand. And I thought, if I drive past, I'm killing you. Same as shooting you. Maybe worse. He takes a drag. I stopped, got out, saw 3 British soldiers dying of thirst. And I had water. A lot of water. 20 liters in my truck. And I thought about the Russian who gave me water in 41, about how I never thanked him, never knew his name. Walsh leans forward. There was a Russian who gave you water? Outside Smolensk, winter. We were retreating. I got separated from my unit, frostbite, dehydrated. Yes, even in snow you get dehydrated. I collapsed behind a burned-out barn. Soviet soldier found me, could have shot me, should have shot me. Instead, he gave me his canteen, then walked away. Did you ever find him? Hans shakes his head. No, I tried, after the war. But there were millions of Soviet soldiers, no records, no way to search. He's probably dead. Most of them died. His voice breaks slightly. I never got to thank him. So you passed it forward. I passed it forward to you, and I hoped maybe you lived, maybe you did something good with it, maybe the chain didn't break. Walsh reaches into his pocket, pulls out something wrapped in cloth, unwraps it carefully. It's a canteen. Old British Army issue, dented, weathered. This is one of the canteens you gave me. I kept it. 25 years. I kept it because I needed to return it. To say thank you, to tell you what happened after. Hans takes the canteen, holds it like it's sacred. What did happen? I survived, got back to my unit, finished the war, went home, got married, had 3 children, became a better man than I was before that day because you showed me something. What did I show you? That we're not just the uniforms we wear, not just the orders we follow, that even in the middle of hell, we can still choose to be human. Hans is crying now, not hiding it, just letting the tears run. I thought about you so many times, wondered if you made it, wondered if I did enough. You did enough, you did everything. Greta brings coffee, sits quietly. She's heard parts of this story before. Hans told her about the British soldiers he gave water to, but she never knew he went back, never knew he'd been searching too in his own way. I tried to find you, Hans says. Not like you did. I didn't write letters, but I thought maybe one day in a newspaper I'd see a name, Captain Walsh, died peacefully, survived by his family, and I'd know you made it. I made it because of you. No, you made it because you were strong enough to walk. I just gave you a chance. They talk for hours. Hans tells Walsh about his war, Russia, North Africa, Italy, about being captured by Americans in 1944, about 3 years in a POW camp in Texas, of all places, about returning to Germany in 1947 to find his hometown destroyed, his parents dead, everything he knew erased. Walsh tells Hans about finishing the war, about nightmares, about survivors' guilt, about the men who died in that desert patrol, Moore and the others, and how he thinks about them every day. I wanted to find you partly for me, Walsh admits, but also for them, for Moore and Harris and Bennett. So their deaths meant something, so the story had an ending that wasn't just tragedy. Their deaths meant you lived, Hans says. That's meaning enough. Maybe, but finding you, now it means even more. It means that moment of kindness echoes forward, that it mattered. Hans nods, looks at the canteen. Can I keep this? I know it's yours, but it's yours, Walsh interrupts. It was always yours. I was just returning it. Walsh stays in Stuttgart for 3 days. He and Hans meet every day, walk through the city, talk about everything except the war, then circle back to the war anyway because it's the thing that connects them. On the last day, Hans asks a question. The Russian who gave me water, do you think he's still alive? Maybe, probably not, but maybe. I would like to find him, like you found me. Walsh considers this. It would be harder. Soviet records, the language barrier, the Cold War. But possible? Maybe, if you had help. They look at each other, and without saying it explicitly, they both understand. This is bigger than 2 soldiers. This is a chain, Russian to German to British, 3 moments of kindness across 3 different battles, 3 choices to be human when the world demanded monsters. We should try, Walsh says. Together. Hans nods. Together. Walsh returns to England. Over the next year, he and Hans write letters, not to each other, they do that too, but to Soviet veteran organizations, to the Red Cross, to anyone who might have records from the Smolensk region, winter 1941. It's even harder than finding Hans was. The Soviets are less organized, more suspicious. The Cold War makes everything complicated, but they keep trying. In 1969, they get a response from a veterans group in Moscow. They have a record of a soldier who might be the one. Sergeant Dmitry Volkov, age 55, lives in Leningrad, served at Smolensk, winter 1941. Hans and Walsh make plans immediately. It takes 6 months to arrange, visas, permissions, diplomatic complications. But in March 1970, they travel to Leningrad together. 2 former enemies, now friends, searching for a third link in the chain. They find Dmitry in a small apartment near the Neva River. He's suspicious at first. Why are a German and a British man looking for him? What do they want? Hans explains. In halting Russian, helped by a translator Walsh hired, about the British soldiers in the desert, about the water, about searching for 25 years, about the chain. Dmitry goes very quiet, stares at Hans. You were the German, the one I gave water to? Yes, outside Smolensk. You saved my life. Dmitry starts laughing, not cruel, just overwhelmed. I didn't save your life. I gave you water because I had extra and you looked pathetic. I forgot about it 5 minutes later. But I didn't forget, and because of what you did, I saved 3 British soldiers. And this man, Hans points to Walsh, Spent 25 years finding me to say thank you. Dmitri stops laughing, looks at Walsh. You looked for him for 25 years? Yes. Why? Because he showed me that even in war, humanity survives. And I needed him to know that it mattered. Dmitri shakes his head. I thought the war taught us we were all animals, that under enough pressure everyone becomes a monster. No, Walsh says. The war taught us we have a choice, always, even in the worst moments. You chose to give water. Hans chose to give water. Those choices echo. They sit together, three old soldiers from three different sides of the war, Russian, German, British. They should hate each other. History says they're enemies, but history doesn't account for 3 canteens of water and 3 moments of unexpected mercy. Walsh pulls out the canteen Hans gave him back in Stuttgart. I brought this. I thought, maybe it should stay with you, Dmitri, since the chain started with you. Dmitri takes it, holds it. I can't believe such a small thing mattered so much. Small things always matter most, Hans says. They spend 2 days together. Trade stories, laugh, cry. Dmitri tells them about the siege of Leningrad, about starvation, about eating wallpaper paste to survive. Hans tells him about being captured, about Texas, about coming home to nothing. Walsh tells them both about the desert, about nightmares, about his children who grew up knowing that enemies can become friends. On the last night, Dmitri makes a toast to water, to choice, to the possibility that even in hell we can still be human. They drink. 3 old men who should be enemies but aren't. Walsh returns to England. Hans returns to Germany. Dmitri stays in Leningrad. But they write letters now, all 3 of them. The chain is complete. Walsh dies in 1984 at 74. At his funeral, Hans reads a letter Walsh wrote a week before he died. I spent 25 years searching for the man who gave me water. I found him, and together we found the man who started the chain. I can die knowing that kindness doesn't disappear. It just travels from person to person, across borders and battles and years. Tell my children, always give water to the thirsty, always. Hans dies in 1991 at 74. In his will, he leaves the canteen to his grandson with a note, "This saved 3 lives. Maybe it will save more. Keep the chain going." Dmitri dies in 1995 at 80. His daughter finds letters from Hans and Walsh in his desk. Letters about water, about war, about the strange truth that enemies are just people who haven't met yet. 3 soldiers, 3 nations, 3 moments of mercy that echoed across decades. Not heroes, not saints, just men who chose, when it would have been easier not to be human. The chain doesn't end with them. It never does. Somewhere right now someone is dying of thirst, and somewhere someone else has water and a choice.